So, hello everyone. It's my great pleasure to be here in Mikulov again. And I'm Mikoláš Jurda. Currently, I'm working as assistant professor at Faculty of Science, Masaryk University. And I would like to introduce you our project, which is called, or the project is called differently, but basically it will be on the down of the long-term effect of the dynamics of Anabaptist communities in Moravia. I'm just very small part, well, I'm on the second place, but I'm very small part of the whole group which worked on this project. Principal investigator is Associated Professor Miroslav Králik, a lot of colleagues from biology, Department of Anthropology. Also, I have to mention our colleagues from Poland, from Anabaptist University in Poznań, who provide us analysis on DNA. And the second relatively big part of the team is made by people from Faculty of Arts, from Department of History and also Department for the Studies of Religion. I have to mention that this project is covered and sponsored by Ministry of Culture MAM III program. It started recently, 6 months ago, and it will ideally extend towards 2027. So these are very preliminary results. First of all, I would like to introduce you Anabaptists and how are they connected to this region and to the Mikulov. The Anabaptists are, their origin is closely connected to the reformist currents of the Renaissance Europe. They are originated in Switzerland, Germany, and southern Austria. But soon after the emergence, they migrated towards adjacent regions, and then very soon towards the Moravia, where they formed distinct minorities as early as in 1526. Why? Because back at the time it was relatively tolerant region. Well, Mikulov is particularly important for the Anabaptists because they first appeared here in 1526, and Leonard I from the Liechtenstein, from the Mikulov line of House of Liechtenstein, invited them here and also embraced their teachings. Lutherite, because Anabaptists are overarching term, but Lutherite is one of the branches of the Anabaptists, and therefore under the influence of Jakub Huter in Hustopeče, which is also not far from here. And the Lutherite was very specific with strong property unity, equality of needs, which is also somehow mirrored also in rural rights. They were highly skilled craftsmen and farmers, excelling in producing pottery, knives, clocks even. So they were often not only tolerated on the dominions, but also invited because of the money and production. They were very specific for living in closed yards with a limited contact with outside world, and they also have some features which differs them from the other society. Like in these days, there's very organized schools, kindergartens, very organized healthcare. Now I would like to mention Mikulov because they were welcome here at least for a while. In the second half of 16th century, emerged about 80 settlements all around the southern Moravia, and especially here in 1556, Hutteridge Yard was built with almost 300 inhabitants specialized in textile production and manufacturing. Actually, it's not far from the castle. We are currently here. It's about 10 minutes, but now you will find just residential houses there, kindergarten, but new one, not Lutherite, and one very charming pub. Then, at the beginning of the 30s war and declining in religious tolerance, uh, the Anabaptists started to migrate eastwards to Slovakia, Transylvania, then towards Ukraine, and at the end of 19th century they migrated to United States and Canada, and then there currently live about 50,000 of them. So we have nice comparison sample there. So for us, in this project, Hutterites are perfect example of the population from the beginning of modern era migrated towards different geographic and social context with very successful cultural adaptations. They were able to live till now with their form of living. They are also reproductively closed community and somehow something like biological experiment which lasting for 400 years. We have also a large quantity of written sources for the Anabaptists. Specific and rich material culture remains of the past members and also contemporary communities, which are still collaborating with us. We will see how it will in the future, but now we are very open. They have strong reflections in the contemporary identity of this region, and they ended violently, which is always good for public interest in this theme. And we can confront it with state-of-the-art natural and human sciences. For the project is central the Hutterite ride, which was in Přibice, village or city, I'm not sure, about 20-25 kilometers to the north from the Mikulov, actually here is Palava Hills. The yard in Přibice was located at the southern end of the village. It has around 400 inhabitants. And it's very important that it was one of the last and violently terminated yards here in this region. To the south from the yard, then can be found the cemetery or graveyard connected to this yard, which was used by Anabaptists. And now, after the 5-6 seasons of excavations, we can say that it is 100% Hutterite cemetery and one of the biggest and the only 100% certain cemetery of the Hutterites. Why so? The Hutterites were never systematically studied as a group because it's very hard to recognize their graves. Many of them surely were unidentified and published, but you can find very limited grave proofs in their graves. So Přibice excavations are ongoing since 2018. As you can see here, we still are working in one square, which is size of 15 meters and is not finished yet. They very often use the same places for the burial and the rebury, the skeletons, because they paid very high taxes for the graveyard. Grave pits are next to each other in southeast northwest orientation, without coffin, in a supine position with uplands on the chest, and basically that's it. There are some the grave goods are very scarce. There are some clothing fasteners because even buttons were too posh for them, and some coins and symbols which were clearly forgotten in the clothing. For the preliminary results on anthropology, in the ages distributions, we have found a relatively small number of subadults. For now, we interpret it as the consequence of the taphonomic events on the place. The skeletons are not very well preserved, so basically we think that at this square we have very small slobodels now. Sex distribution is in favor of women, about 66% of them, but we have just small part of the graveyard, so we have to wait for the interpretation for next years. Stature estimation results are here also strongly affected by bad preservation of the remains, but you can see that it is nothing exceptional for the early modern age era, and when we compared it to the other samples, it was relatively the same. We have also some signs of perimortem trauma, but for now we have just macroscopic and microscopic analysis, and much more has to be done to search for it, because we know that there were some military actions back in the days, and we suppose that there has to be some people with perimortem trauma, as about dozens of people died during these actions. We also employed detailed photogrammetric documentation, and in this like 4D manner. We use it also for some measurements on site to measure, for example, skeletal length, and we find out that it's much more precise than to measure the skeletal length in situ with normal measure tape. So we have also these nice animations, but I can skip it because we have a very nice presentation before me. For the biological research, radiocarbon dating so far has been applied to skeletons. Okay, thank you. To skeletons, and both of them are within the time frame which is ideal for hutterites, so no surprise here. For mobility, we have done some, and we are planning to do some isotope analysis. For now, it's strontium analysis with significant variability in the samples. So it looks like that there include people from non-local origin. Also, nothing surprising for now, but we also planning to apply oxygen and sulfur analysis to make more complex insight in the mobility. For the diet, we so far have 71 samples, also some comparative hutterite samples from other parts of Moravia, and over 40 animal samples for comparison, but it's not done yet, and it is in the collagen extraction phase, I have to say. We also make some parasitological research. We were not able to find any eggs of parasites like wheatworm or roundworm in the sediment. Now it is on molecular biological analysis, because we are aware that maybe we will not be able to identify the eggs due to taphonomy again. So we don't think that they was not burdened by parasites. It's just taphonomic artifact. Genetic analysis of the remains it will be done by the colleagues in Poland, with very interesting questions of whether the population was really closed and what type of relations they had with local population. And also we have the comparison material in the US, so we will see. Our historical and religious studies and colleagues have plenty of sources. Their main goal is to contextualize our biological information, but they will surely do more. There are a lot of questions which are mentioned earlier, and plenty of chronicles, rules for almost every aspect of their lives. So no doubt that there will be a lot of theories to test. Second goal is interactive map of the literate site, which will be available for the public, museums, or organizations, because this is somehow still uncovered topic here. So that's all. Thank you for your attention. I think I have to mention Professor Josef Unger, because he was the one who was at the beginning of the research back in the 70s. He discovered the Hutterites there and attract us to the site of Tribice again, a few years again, and also contemporary Hutterites, which are very open for now. So thank you for attention. Well, they often mention that it's not exception, but it's very typical for them, and I think that the well the specificity is there because it's typical for the Anabaptist. I'm not sure how often it is in other, but I think there are very often coffins, but